Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back. You're watching iAllegedly. And I've got a good one for you today because we've got the CEO of Patriot Gold, Jack, is back. And Jack, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
You know, let's get right into it, okay? One thing that we talk about is people need to go once a year, go to the doctor, get a physical, make sure their health is on track. And you and I, you know, as we're driving here, we're talking about, you know, what people also need to do, and that's...
Well, at 53 years old, I can tell you that my wife wants me to go every year and get a checkup, right? And people should apply the same conscientious concern to their finances, their financial well-being, and especially their retirement. So if you're going to spend all this time every year going to the doctor, you know, and doing an EKG and checking your heart and checking your lungs and giving blood, and what my wife really would like for me to do is schedule a colonoscopy, but we'll discuss that when not on camera. But you should apply the same thoroughness to your financial health and your financial well-being.
Absolutely. And people don't do that. You know, one thing we've talked about in the channel quite a bit is, you know, getting, you know, call it a financial tune-up, where you basically go and make sure you're on track with everything. But people need to do this. It's critical to do it right now. It's more important than ever to look at your retirement with that.
I think what's happening now with inflation and with the cost of not only groceries, but gas, with the cost of home ownership, I think what a lot of people are doing is they're sticking their head in the sand and they're afraid to look. They're afraid to look at what their balances are on their 401k, what their balances are in their IRA. One thing I do want to mention, I'm not a certified financial investment advisor, nor do I give tax advice. But
we're not doctors either.
Exactly, thank you. And Patriot Gold Group, one of the reasons why we're Consumer Affairs top rated now for 7 years in a row,
Absolutely.
We're the only firm that has the Patriot Compliance Commitment, where it's total transparency on our pricing, total transparency on every transaction, that it's up to the client to decide which physical gold and silver and how much physical gold and silver they want to incorporate in their portfolio. It's their decision, it's their finances.
Absolutely.
So it really represents pulling your money from the financial system and taking the preservation of wealth and retirement matters into your own hands.
And it's never too early to do this right now. You have to do it now.
It's more important than ever.
Yeah, because we're running, you know, this is, you know, mission critical right now. We're seeing a lot of things globally that are affecting all of us, and it could turn on a dime. And we need to take these, you know, make these decisions now over waiting, without a doubt.
Well, we can't be as irresponsible as they are in DC, just running up the national debt and printing more money. So, I mean, we're $34.5 trillion in debt right now. Every 3 months, if you notice, there's a CR, continuing resolution, in order to fund the government, or else we're on the verge of a government shutdown every few months. You know, we as individuals, we're not afforded that luxury.
Right. Imagine running your household this way. Imagine just asking for your credit line to be increased. And, you know, we were talking about that. The credit cards, you know, personal consumer debt has risen over $1 trillion right now, guys. This is
the highest it's ever been
it's
in history. Over $1 trillion. Credit card debt right now is the highest it's ever been in history.
Yeah, and more people are using the credit card debt just to get by. And the worst thing is that the interest rates, with what's happened over the last 22 months with them raising all these interest rates, you have credit card interest that's well above 29% on an average right now.
29%. So the credit card interest rate is the highest it's been in history.
Absolutely.
Credit card debt is the highest it's been in history. I also read a statistic, 9% of Americans can't pay the balance in full at the end of the month. 51% of Americans can't pay the credit card debt. 51% cannot pay their credit card debt. So what's happening is it's rolling over. So it's only increasing exponentially, and it's compounding at that 29% interest rate.
You know, when people kid themselves and say, oh, it'll fix itself, it'll fix itself. This is not going to fix itself this time, guys. You have to, you know, take matters into your own hands. You've got to pay off your bills, get debt-free, do everything you can, but you also have to look at that rainy day of your retirement that's coming. And a storm is brewing out there right now, and you need to protect yourself.
Well, as a matter of fact, we're in a commercial park right now where there's over a 30% vacancy rate. So
Unbelievable.
there's a commercial real estate crisis that's coming that Morgan Stanley said will far surpass the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis.
Without a doubt.
Commercial real estate is the largest asset class in the world, and $1.5 trillion in interest-only loans are due over the next 3 years. So what's happened with the Feds raising rates now over the past 22 months, there's been 11 rate hikes. So everyone is pretty familiar with the 30-year fixed mortgage now being over 8%. Now, that also applies to these commercial real estate loans.
Absolutely. Plus, think about this. These buildings have gone down in value. You have more vacancies. They cannot refinance. They're refinancing at basically triple the interest rates right now. You're seeing more and more of these banks more of these buildings being given back to the bank right now. It is unbelievable.
In fact, a major hotel group walked away from a 1,900 room hotel in San Francisco. Also, a major money manager walked away from a commercial park in Las Vegas, as well as one in Manhattan that was purchased in 2014 for $640 million. You're hearing of more and more firms that are just walking away from these empty buildings. Mm-hmm. And, the big concern is this. You've heard, if you owe the bank $1 million, you have a problem. If you owe the bank $1 billion, the bank has a problem. And 80% of these loans are held by regional smaller banks.
Absolutely, and these regional smaller banks are in huge trouble. We talk a lot about the banking crisis and about, having money out of your bank and having an alternative. And the one thing that I had, before they were a sponsor, before they were connected with my channel, was getting yourself into physical gold and silver. And the best thing about Patriot Gold, please give out the 800 number.
It's 1-800-974-4653. That's 1-800-974-GOLD. Now, one thing, back in 2008, the FDIC raised the insurance on a savings account from $100,000 to $250,000 to instill confidence in consumers to keep their money in the bank. So it's at $250,000. Well, when Silicon Valley Bank just collapsed, mm-hmm. when Signature Bank collapsed, when First Republic, there were deposits that far exceeded $250,000.
Absolutely.
So there was talk in DC about raising the limit again, but I read earlier this week, 50% of banks have more debt than assets on their balance sheet right now. And this is before these commercial real estate loans are due, these interest-only loans. So they're already right now running in a deficit. And
absolutely.
I mean, that's a huge concern.
Yeah, it's we could go on about the commercial debt, and we could go on, about consumer finance debt. People need to get themselves financially solid right now. And it's getting rid of things you don't need, getting rid of excess debt, selling cars, selling items like that to get yourself financially secure. But you have to look at your retirement. You have to look at the future, because the government, may not be there. And one thing that I heard last week that I had to investigate was, if Social Security becomes insolvent, everybody that's already getting Social Security right now will take an immediate 25% hit. So that's unbelievable. You need to protect yourself.
You do. And one thing I was going to mention as well. So the stock market gains over this year, 26% of the gains are responsible entirely because of what they call the Magnificent Seven. It's tech stocks. It's Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Meta. Mm-hmm. So it's the Magnificent Seven. They were responsible for 26% of the gains this year. Just this past week, a few weeks ago, it was I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the NASDAQ absolutely just cratered. Mm-hmm. Cratered.
Absolutely.
Google came out, they were reporting earnings. So Google had reported earnings. They crushed earnings. So did Amazon, so did Meta. But Google pulled back 10%.
Absolutely.
10%. So it's imperative, and the reason I bring this up, it's imperative that you look into your 401k. And look, we haven't even discussed ESG 401ks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This administration, Biden used his first and only veto to override Congress that was blocking ESG 401ks.
Tell everybody what ESG means.
It means environmental, social, and governance. So what it means is, because of the divided House and Senate, because you have, a Democrat, Senate, and you have a Republican House right now, Biden can't get a lot of his social welfare programs through. The green energy initiatives, the social welfare programs. So what they came up with was ESG 401ks, where the default option on a 401k is now an ESG 401k, where it's funding social welfare programs, equanimity, diversity, green energy. So unbeknownst to employees, their 401ks are investing not in what should be a fiduciary responsibility of
Absolutely
a company that has a stronger balance sheet or a better return on investment, but one that's just more diverse.
Well, let me add something to that. There are a lot of auto manufacturers that over the course of the last couple of weeks have said, we're going to pull back. Toyota announced that, hey, we're not going to go full EV on our car line. We're going to stick with the hybrids. Ford just canceled a $12 billion investment a couple weeks ago, saying that they're not going to move forward. General Motors is not going to manufacture their EV cars until 2026 right now. This is a problem. Plus, the topper of all this is that there are 50 EV cars expected to hit the market, new models from different companies over the next 3 years, and the greatest headline was, who's going to buy these? And you're investing your future and your money is going to these EV cars right now.
Yeah.
Who's going to buy those cars?
Well, I just think that, and also keep in mind, there's a number of firms, and I'm not going to name them because all of a sudden then we get a cease and desist, but that are charging higher commissions. So regardless of the higher commissions, they are setting the default option on 401ks into ESG 401ks. So it's more imperative than it's ever been to check the status of your 401k, the balance on your 401k, the balance on your IRA. Look, I mean, here's the reality. The stark reality is the Fed has taken the punch bowl away from the party. The last 12 years, back in 2008, what they did was they drove interest rates down to zero, and they more than quadrupled our money supply.
Absolutely.
So the last 12 years has been, easy monetary policy by the Fed. 0% interest rates. I mean, it's created vast amounts of wealth.
Financial musical chairs that nobody thought would stop.
Yeah.
That's about to stop. And
It
people
stopped.
are going to.
It's over.
Okay, well, there's missing chairs then right now.
Well, you see it with, home ownership. I mean, inventory. You see it with the vacancy in the commercial real estate. You see it with the interest-only loans. You see it with the credit card debt. I mean, look around you. And you have to ask yourself, is it going to get any better, or is it going to get far worse before it gets better?
Absolutely.
I mean, there has to be a reckoning. Has to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I brought this back for this time.
Everybody gold
loves,
coin.
Yeah, everybody loves the 1 ounce gold eagle. Again, gold is money. Since the dawn of time, for 5,000 years, gold's been money. And the one thing about Patriot Gold is that you can have physical metals in your retirement account. IRA. It's fantastic.
Well, it's a self-directed IRA, so you get to choose what's in your IRA, and you can incorporate physical gold and silver in your IRA. Now let's ask ourselves, and many of your viewers I'm sure are familiar with this, central bank gold purchases are the highest they've ever been on record.
Unbelievable.
The highest they've ever been on record. So don't you want to do with your retirement what central banks are doing?
Yeah.
Central
absolutely.
banks are the ones that can print as much money as they want. Meanwhile, they are accumulating record amounts of physical gold and silver.
So once again, I love physical metals. I've told you guys that. But, Jack, with everything that's going on in the world, where do you think people should be concerned right now?
Well, I mean, we're talking about interest rates. We're talking about credit card debt. We're talking about home loans. We're talking about the commercial real estate crises. But we haven't even discussed, there's 2 wars going on right now globally. 2 wars that we're funding. So there's 2 wars going on. You have the BRICS countries that met in Johannesburg back in August. that have a new basket-based currency that is challenging the US dollar. Donald Trump said the US dollar losing its reserve currency status will be our greatest defeat in over 200 years.
Yeah.
So it's the perfect storm for physical gold and silver. It's the single best buying opportunity we've seen. We are seasonally right now in this 6-month best period for physical gold and silver, Q4 and Q1.
And also, we've had so many experts, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, Goldman. Bloomberg has talked about how gold is going to go through the roof.
Bloomberg said, due to the fear of missing out, due to FOMO, that gold will go to $3,000 an ounce. Also, Bloomberg stated that the catalyst is here for $3,000 an ounce gold, and that was the banking crisis. Wells Fargo said we are in a commodity super cycle with at least 6 years left, and worst case scenario is $3,000 an ounce gold. Do you know Jefferies Group stood by their forecast of $5,500 an ounce gold? Not to mention silver. The street has forecasted silver to go to $50 an ounce in the next 3 to 5 years, and as high as $150 an ounce in the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, you've got to do it before it's too late. You know, Jack, is it difficult to get themselves into gold and silver?
That's just it. It is a simple, easy process purchasing physical gold and silver. There's 2 ways to purchase physical gold and silver. A simple cash purchase where you just call 1-800-974-4653. We walk you through the process and you take receipt of your physical gold and silver at your home, or we'll store it for them in a dedicated, secured, and insured storage at no charge.
Yeah, very cool.
Or you can roll over your IRA. Now, again, I'm not a certified financial investment advisor, nor do I give tax advice, but you can roll over your IRA to a third-party passive custodian into a self-directed IRA. So your 401k, your TSP, or your IRA into a self-directed IRA backed by physical gold and silver. And it's held in a dedicated, secured, and insured private, non-governmental depository. So you have your retirement in physical gold and silver. Physical gold and silver. And the one question I get asked all the time is, well, Jack, can I ever be in receipt of the gold and silver? I want to hold it in my hand. Yes, you can.
I'm holding it, guys.
Yes, you can. You can do a distribution and you can take receipt of your physical gold and silver. Now, keep in mind, we have the Patriot compliance commitment, total transparency on pricing, Consumer Affairs #1 rated for 7 years in a row. The only company that offers the no fee for life IRA.
That's fantastic.
On a minimum rollover, on qualifying rollovers, but with the no fee for life IRA.
You know, again, I love promoting your company because the customer service has just been first class. You know, I'm not just a spokesman, I'm a client, but everything about you guys, from the first phone call to the end to getting delivery, has just been first rate all the way through. Check out Patriot Gold today. Say the 800 number again.
1-800-974-4653.
That, or use the link below, guys. Thank you for being here. You know, again, send your questions because I'll send them over to Jack too. hello@iallegedly.com. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Onward and upward, guys. We will see you very soon.
May I see that gold coin?
Sure, again.
Wouldn't you love to have one of these in your hand? I got to tell you, when you get a tube of 20 of these,
oh yeah,
how heavy they are. That's
Jack,
real money right there.
Jack's thinking of me for Christmas.
That's real money. Maybe a silver American Eagle.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys soon.